The first sign was subtle, almost innocuous. It was early January, and Elian, my wife, had suddenly become obsessed with skiing. Now, Elian wasn't exactly a sporty person. Her idea of exercise was walking from the couch to the fridge. But suddenly, she was talking about hitting the slopes, buying new gear, and even watching ski documentaries. I'm a 44-year-old IT specialist living in Denver, Colorado, so skiing is definitely a thing here, but it was never our asterisk thing. Going on a ski trip with some of the girls from work, she announced one evening, stirring a pot of pasta. It'll be a good way to de-stress. That sounds fun, I said, a little surprised. When are you going? Next weekend, she replied, not meeting my eyes. It's just a quick getaway. We'll be back on Sunday. I didn't think much of it at the time. I trusted Elian. We'd been married for 15 years, and I couldn't imagine her doing anything to hurt me. But as the days passed, a nagging feeling started to creep into my mind. She was being secretive with her phone, constantly texting and quickly minimizing the screen whenever I entered the room. She stayed late at work more often, claiming deadlines and urgent projects. And when I asked her about the ski trip, she became vague and evasive. Weekend arrived, and I drove Elian to what she said was her coworker's house, a meeting point for the ski trip caravan. I kissed her goodbye, told her to have fun, and watched as she walked up to the front door. As I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It was like a knot tightening in my stomach. That night I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, my mind racing with unanswered questions. I knew I was being irrational, but I couldn't help but feel like something was terribly wrong. Finally, around 3 a.m., I decided to do something I never thought I'd do. I checked Elian's phone. I knew her password. It was our anniversary date. My hands trembled as I opened her messages. The first few were from her work colleagues, confirming the details of the ski trip. But then I saw a name I didn't recognize. Kale. My heart pounded as I opened the messages. They were filled with intimate details, loving words, and explicit plans. It was clear that Elian wasn't going on a ski trip with her work colleagues. She was having an affair. The world seemed to spin around me. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My wife, the woman I loved and trusted, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I sat there in the dark, reading the messages over and over, trying to make sense of it all. I spent the rest of the night in a daze. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't even cry. I just sat there, numb, staring into space. When Elian finally came home on Sunday evening, I was waiting for her. "How was the ski trip?" I asked, my voice flat. "It was great," she said, her eyes sparkling. "We had so much fun. You should come with us next time." I stared at her, my heart aching with pain and anger. "There won't be a next time, Elian," I said, "because I know everything." Her face paled. "What are you talking about?" she stammered. I pulled out her phone and showed her the messages. Her eyes widened in horror as she realized she'd been caught. I can explain," she said, her voice trembling. "Explain what, Elian?" I asked, my voice rising. "Explain how you could lie to me. Explain how you could betray me like this." She started to cry. "It just happened," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake." "A mistake," I repeated, my voice filled with disbelief. "You spent the entire weekend with another man and you call it a mistake." "I was lonely," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "You're always working, and I felt like we were drifting apart, so instead of talking to me, you decided to sleep with someone else." I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. She didn't answer. She just stood there, crying, her face buried in her hands. I couldn't stand to look at her anymore. I turned and walked away, my heart shattered into a million pieces. "Where are you going?" She called after me. "I don't know," I said, my voice cracking. "But I can't stay here, not anymore." I spent the next few days in a hotel trying to process what had happened. I felt like my entire world had been turned upside down. Everything I thought I knew about Elian, about our marriage, was a lie. I called my best friend, Eamon, and told him everything. He was shocked and supportive, offering to come over and keep me company. But I needed to be alone to sort through my thoughts and feelings. I also contacted a lawyer and started the process of filing for divorce. It was the hardest decision I'd ever made, but I knew I couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies and betrayal. As the days turned into weeks, I started to piece my life back together. I focused on my work, spent time with my friends and family, and tried to take care of myself. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to move on and find happiness again. One evening, Eamon called me and asked me to meet him for a drink. I hesitated at first, but then I decided it would be good to get out of the house. We met at a local bar and Eamon was already there nursing a beer. He looked serious. "I need to tell you something," he said, his voice low. My heart sank. "What is it?" I asked, bracing myself for the worst. "It's about Alean," he said. "I know who she was with on that ski trip." I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. "Who was it?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Eamon hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. "It was my brother, Cale." I stared at him in disbelief. "Your brother?" I repeated, my voice filled with shock. Eamon nodded, his face etched with guilt. "I found out a few weeks ago," he said. I was furious. I confronted him, and he admitted everything. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Alean had not only cheated on me, but she'd done it with my best friend's brother. The betrayal was even deeper and more hurtful than I could have imagined. "I'm so sorry, Bryn," Eamon said, his eyes filled with remorse. "I had no idea this was going on. If I had known, I would have stopped it." I didn't say anything. I just sat there, stunned, trying to process the information. "I understand if you're angry with me," Eamon said. "I deserve it, but I wanted you to know the truth." I looked at him and I could see the pain and guilt in his eyes. I knew he was telling the truth. He had no reason to lie. "I'm not angry with you, Eamon," I said, my voice finally returning. "I'm angry with Alean and your brother. They're the ones who betrayed me." Eamon reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I am here for you, Bryn," he said. "Whatever you need." I appreciated his support, but I knew that this was something I had to deal with on my own. I thanked him for telling me the truth and left the bar. As I walked home, my mind raced with thoughts of revenge. I wanted to make Alean and Cale pay for what they had done to me. I wanted to hurt them the way they had hurt me. But then I realized that revenge wouldn't make me feel better. It wouldn't undo the pain and betrayal. The best thing I could do was to move on and build a new life for myself. I decided to confront Alean and Cale one last time. I wanted to hear their explanations, to see the remorse in their eyes. I called Alean and asked her to meet me at a local park. She agreed and we met the next day. "I know about Cale," I said, my voice cold and hard. Her face paled. "How did you find out?" she asked. "It doesn't matter," I said. "What matters is that you betrayed me, you lied to me, you slept with another man, and that man was my best friend's brother." She started to cry again. "I'm so sorry, Bryn," she sobbed. "I never meant to hurt you. I was just lost," I repeated, my voice filled with disbelief. "You were lost. So you decided to find yourself in another man's bed?" She didn't answer. She just stood there crying, her face buried in her hands. "I want to know why, Alean," I said, my voice softening slightly. "Why did you do it?" She looked up at me, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know," she said. I felt like we were growing apart. You were always working and I felt like you didn't care about me anymore." "That's not true, Alean," I said. "I always cared about you. I was trying to provide for us. I was trying to make our lives better." "I know," she said. "But I needed more than that. I needed your attention, your affection, your love. And you thought you could find that in another man's arms?" I asked, my voice rising again. She didn't answer. She just stood there crying. "I'm done, Alean," I said, my voice firm. "I can't stay in this marriage anymore. I'm filing for divorce." She nodded, her face filled with resignation. "I understand," she said. "I don't blame you." I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there in the park. I didn't look back. I then contacted Cale and asked him to meet me. He was hesitant at first, but I insisted. We met at a neutral location, a coffee shop on the outskirts of town. He looked nervous and uncomfortable. "I know about you and Alean," I said, my voice cold and hard. His face paled. I am sorry, Bryn," he stammered. "I didn't mean for this to happen. You didn't mean for it to happen." I repeated, my voice filled with disbelief. "You slept with my wife and you didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake," he said. "We were both drunk and things just got out of hand." "A mistake," I repeated, my voice rising. "You call sleeping with my wife a mistake?" "I know it was wrong," he said. "I regret it. I am sorry." "Sorry isn't good enough, Cale," I said. "You betrayed me. You betrayed my best friend. You destroyed my marriage." "I know," he said. "And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right." "There's nothing you can do to make things right," I said. "The damage is done. The only thing you can do is to stay away from me and my family." I stood up and walked away, leaving him sitting there in the coffee shop. I didn't look back. The divorce was finalized a few months later. It was a difficult and painful process, but I was determined to move on with my life. I focused on my work, spent time with my friends and family, and started to explore new hobbies. I even started dating again. One day I received a strange package in the mail. It was a DNA testing kit. I was confused. I hadn't ordered it. Inside the package was a note. "You deserve to know the truth." I hesitated for a moment, then decided to take the test. I figured it couldn't hurt. A few weeks later, I received the results. I opened the envelope with trembling hands. The results showed that I was not the biological father of our youngest child, our daughter, Livia. I felt like the world had been ripped out from under me. I couldn't believe it. Elian had not only cheated on me, but she had also lied about the paternity of our daughter. I immediately contacted my lawyer and filed for a modification of the divorce agreement. I demanded a full accounting of Elian's finances and a recalculation of child support. I also confronted Elian. She denied everything at first, but when I showed her the DNA results, she broke down and confessed. She admitted that she had been having an affair with Cale around the time Livia was conceived. She said she didn't know for sure if he was the father, but she suspected it. I was furious. I couldn't believe that she had kept this secret from me for so long. I felt like my entire life had been a lie. The court ordered a DNA test for Cale, and the results confirmed that he was indeed Livia's father. I was devastated, but I was also determined to do what was best for Livia. I knew that she deserved to know the truth about her parentage. I sat down with Livia and gently explained the situation to her. She was understandably upset, but she also seemed relieved to finally know the truth. I assured her that I would always be her father, no matter what. And I promised her that I would do everything in my power to make sure she had a happy and fulfilling life. Elian and Cale eventually got married. I heard through mutual friends that they were miserable. Karma, I suppose. I focused on being the best father I could be to my kids, especially Livia. It wasn't the life I imagined, but it was mine, and I was determined to make the best of it. The betrayal cut deep, but it also made me stronger. I learned to trust my instincts, to value honesty, and to never settle for less than I deserved. The ski trip was a lie, but the truth, however painful, set me free. To anyone reading this who has experienced betrayal, know that you are not alone. It's okay to grieve, to be angry, and to feel lost. But don't let the pain define you. Use it as fuel to build a better, stronger, and more authentic version of yourself. You deserve happiness, and you will find it again. Trust me.